Hello, my name is Philip Pearson, and um, of course, Nick has started with me for a series of stories. And he started with me because he's setting the bar quite low, so the stories will improve as we go on from here. So if you find this story not overly exciting or not overly thrilling, please stick with it because some of the people's stories that are coming are very, very interesting. So this is just really a story I would like to bring to you about um, seeing God on the move and seeing God being in control of things. And it really revolves mostly around a picture. And the picture was painted for me and a younger brother by a friend I had in school, in junior high school. And he was into motorbikes, and we were into motorbikes, and we had scramblers, and we used to go. He had visited our house, and we went to his house and scrambled around the fields. And it was after one of these visits that I think we were doing a few pictures and paintings ourselves, and he was quite good at art. So he done a painting of a of a scrambler, someone on a scrambler, and he gave it to me, and it sat around our house for a while. So after third year, you went to different schools and you get new friends, and you sort of, it's not like today we have mobile phones and you keep in touch with people. You sort of lose touch a good bit. So I've only bumped into them a few times over the years, and but I knew that life had been a wee bit tough for him at different times, but I really hadn't seen him for a long time. But this picture that had been painted by him had been lying around our house, and my dad always thought that one of us had done it because my younger brother's name was at the bottom of it. So he took it down to work and he put it up on a wall. He put it up on the back office where I'm at the minute, and it's on the beauty board, just like the same as what you see here behind us. So it hadn't been touched from the 1970s. So he put this painting up, and sometimes he'd put a couple of pictures that we had painted, put them up on the wall, and it went up amongst, calendars and other wee funny office pictures and things. But over the years, most of these different posters and things disappeared off the wall. Some of them fell off, some of them were taken down. Um, and really, all that's left at the minute is just a calendar and a few company phone numbers on this picture. And I remember more than once being in the office and tidying up and sort of getting rid of different pieces of rubbish and things. And I remember looking at it and thinking, wonder what it was doing there. Like none of us had painted it. Nobody knew why we had kept it. It wasn't the greatest piece of artwork that was ever done, but it certainly, it wasn't bad for a child, but it certainly wasn't a masterpiece of any description. But it stayed. It was never taken down. So a couple of years ago, I'd been having, I suppose you would say, a bit of a difficult week. I felt a wee bit lost, a wee bit low. I sort of didn't fully understand what my role for serving God was. I didn't seem to have any vision or knowledge of where I was supposed to be going. And I remember praying one Tuesday night about, Lord, let me just know what I'm supposed to be doing here. I'm just wasting my time, or I'm supposed to go looking for your work, or what am I supposed to be doing? So the next evening, I went out for a birthday dinner, and it was after the meal. I went over to the shop to get something out of the shop. Usually the shop would be quite busy, but this particular evening there was only one other customer, and it was my old school friend. So I started to talk to him, and made our way towards the door, and sort of making sort of small talk, and got to the door, and I was sort of edging towards the car, and I tell you the truth, I wasn't really in the form for a lot of conversation. So, but he was quite interested in asking me about myself and my family and how life had worked out for me, and of course I was asking the same about him. And I remember even just looking at him, and I knew things had been pretty rough for him, and I knew the more he talked, the more he opened up, the more pain I could see, the more hurt there was, and he became more emotional, and he became more open, and basically I could see that he was broken, completely broken, and he was nearly at the end of the line. So I got his phone number off him, and I remember him saying to me, "Oh, I never hear from you again." And I said, yeah, you will. So I told him to come up to work, up to the office after the next day, and he appeared up, and me and my younger brother got talking to him, and we explained to him that the first relationship that I needed to get fixing was really his relationship with God. That was where he needed to start from. And he had told me that he had previously he made a profession of faith a good few years ago, but for one thing after another, it hadn't worked out, and the world had got its fingers in on him, and it brought him right down onto his knees. So the younger brother and him walked into the back office here and opened the door, and up on the wall on the right hand side was this picture, and it had been up there for over 30 years, and he couldn't believe that it was still there. He remembered painting it. He remembered the day that he had done it, and he was blown away by the fact that people that he didn't see for years and hardly knew him had kept this picture that he had done as a child, and we had almost treasured it. But we told him that it wasn't us that put it there, it was God. And God had kept it up on that wall for this particular moment, for him to come into the office, just to be reminded that God loved him, he cared about him, he was significant, he was accepted, and that he was going to take care of him. And he prayed in the office that night, and he started on the road back to building his relationship with God. And this story isn't just as much about him coming back to faith as about me being reminded of what the important work is, and the work really that God wants me to be involved in, which is being there for people, not worrying about the the temporary things or the buildings or possessions or anything else that we gather up in our journey, but really about what's important to God, and that where we are and what we are doing in life is exactly where he needs us to be. And just as a wee added footnote to the story, I remember the following Sunday, and I hadn't spoken to anybody about it, but I went to church, the Ritzhill Methodist Church, and Jane got up onto the stage at the end of the sermon, and I don't remember her doing it before, but she got up and she spoke about, she had this image, she had this vision, and it was about a picture. And I don't need to tell you what picture it was that I was thinking of.